Patrick Colleen, Niall Wallace. I'm touching the screen and I don't have a touch screen. I don't know why I'm doing that.
You're turning into the new generation of kids, man.
Kim and Murray requested or expressed an interest in a stern frame, so I'd like to suggest that we make a gift of it to them from the association on behalf of all the prep days they host and all the work they do and collect manure and cook food and all that. So if everyone's happy with that, and then so the last one was Grace Marr, David mentioned, and then also to present, either to sell one or to present one to the UK BDA or offer them one. I think it's not really decided yet whether we're kind of gifting them one or we're selling them one, or
Just to fill in the other members of the board. We've 9 designated now, including Kim, and we have to be fairly cautious with regard to these stern frames initially, because people are fronting money up, a fair amount of money, and because I know what it cost me to get the initial one, which is over 570, I think it was, euros. It's an awful lot for what it is, but we had to make a start. But the gist of it is, we would consider these prototypes, and I think it's quite important that they are designated to people who are prepared to use them and give us feedback on them. My own opinion is that I wouldn't be there may be a bit of grouching over the fact that members in general weren't consulted about it to have a go at buying one. I think we need to be upfront about that the purpose for the first generation of them, if you like, or the first set of them,
development
is research work, and we need them to go to people who are going to feed back results to us. And it's particularly important from a strategic point of view, because everything we do has to be strategic and developmental, is that there are people who have the radionic instruments who can potentize preparations in tandem or in parallel with using the stirring frames, because the only way we're going to develop a biodynamic toolkit, which is the expedient use of all the preparations, either in various combinations or individually, is for this work to start, for it to have engaged, dedicated people who become totally engrossed with the whole and learning the whole experience.
Scientists.
And you know, that we get the hard information back on the ground, because I think it has the opportunity to completely open up a new approach towards how we can use these preps a lot more effectively. And it takes a bit of imagination, a bit of engagement, and a bit of inspiration as well. And I just feel that we have a good justification for the initial allocation for these stirring frames. And at the next prep day, I think we should look at asking people. It'd be nice for the next magazine after the Embulloch newsletter that we have a picture of all 10 of them sitting up on a table, you know, the first prototypes. But subsequent to that, for our April or prep day, it would be great that we would be in a position then to take any orders from people among the general membership who would want them. And the expectation is, it's a fairly ambitious target, but if we could get to 25, they will be looking at getting them cheaper than the initial prototypes.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to feel left out or excluded, because like, we have offered them to members. It's mostly members that are buying them anyway. You know,
we didn't offer them generally, no one. You know.
No, but I mean, the second round they're getting offered. So like, that's not. And that's imminent as well. You know,
Yeah.
this is all happening fairly fast, so they
The
will have
capacity
the
wasn't there,
opportunity.
to be honest.
Yeah,
Pardon?
they will have the opportunity to get them. So I don't think
Yeah.
anyone will be, you know.
Yeah, I'm just maybe I'm being a bit of an Egypt, but I'm just sensitive to perceptions. You know, that oh, these lads are looking after it for themselves, kind of thing. Well, you know, very quickly when they hear the price of them, they'll realize, right, it's actually a very serious
It's an
investment.
investment. It is, yeah.
Yes, you know.
Yeah, well, the main thing is it's happening.
Yeah.
They have to be trialed first, like before you
Exactly.
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing.
Yeah. People are finding all sorts of innovative ways of stirring and using preps since sending out the winter preps. Like I was impressed with Catherine Foran. Yeah, she's coming up with all sorts of ways to get them out, you know. So
That's what you want. You want to get people excited and, you know, kind of pushing the boundaries of how it can be done. It's important to create a solid framework in which we have a commonality. So as people are putting out the preps, that we can turn around and make judgments on it afterwards.
Yeah, the feedback is great.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So just on that, I sent out I think 24 sets. Well, not 24 sets, but 24. There were different amounts between garden and farm, and some people ordered up to enough for 6 hectares, like 4, 5, 6 hectares. So yeah, the post seemed really slow. Some people only got them today, which is a week later. I don't know why it's so slow. But yeah, so yeah, most people have paid for them. And then
yes, I will.
yeah, I know you will. And
we know you will.
You know where I live.
Yeah, so there was a bit of engagement as well. So I think people have actually put them out, you know, so which is really good. And then
I think
Trevor,
what's important for us is to follow on with some kind of structure or framework with a set of questions that'll, once people have put them out, that will get them to engage with, like, you know, their observations.
Yeah, we'll get to that, to put together a kind of protocol of what kind of to look for and things to observe. And then Trevor put out 12.5 kilos on on 5 farms. So between Stuart, Norman, Alan Mooney, Paddy Blake, and Norman. Yeah, sorry, and Kim. So
himself.
yeah, they're all done. So like it just goes to show, and I know we've said this before, how quickly it goes.
Doesn't mean long going.
There's a fair whack of it gone already. And so it's again, you know, it validates the use of the potentized preps and, you know, the limitations we have with horns, like even, yeah. So it gives an idea as well how much is needed, you know, for live preps, and that we wouldn't be able to meet it if the demand got high on a lot of acres.
Well, in fairness, I mean, Noel, there's nobody on the board who would be going back to an orthodox type of approach, or, you know, the dogmatic approach. You have to use conventional preps. There's no room for anything else, because look how fast it's happening, that we're now reaching a limit.
Yeah,
literally 2 seasons later, we're now going to not have enough to go beyond maybe just a few more larger farmers, right? And the other, just by the by, with regard to the British, the BDAAI, the thinking in relation to that was, you know, we have a good relationship with them, mainly through their secretary, Jessica Standing. But Tom Petterwick would be well disposed towards us. There's a couple of others as well who've an idea what we're at. And keep in mind that they are a very, very, very conservative, conventional BDAAI group. And now there's a few key people retiring in the next year or two, and there seems to be a lot of hope that they might become a bit more invigorated and start looking beyond what they've been at for the last 70 years. But what we're looking for in exchange for this is the potentizing of gold using gold leaf, so that we can understand. I think it's a fairly straightforward process, and what we're looking at that for is we want to make some 501 with gold, as well as the 501F and the ACL 501 and the French 501. And the reason is that gold, if it's included, and you're talking about potentized to D2, which is very low potency, when you're mixing up the water for liquidizing the actual silica before filling in the horns, gold would be included in that for a 501G. And the thinking there is that it should help to bring the sun forces on cloudy days or cloudy weather or cloudy weeks through a lot more vigorously. And I think it's one 501 that we definitely need to explore as well. And this is all heading in the direction of adapting these preparations and thinking outside the box about how to modify them as such to enhance our environmental conditions. So that's what we would be hoping, particularly if we gift them a stirring frame, we would be hoping that they will help us to source the gold. Yeah, just to give you a heads up on that.
Yeah, it's just good relationship building.
Yeah.
It's good to keep a good relationship with them, whatever we think about them.
Well, it'd be nice too for the 100th anniversary that we could make that gesture to them.
Yeah, definitely,
And they're all right. But they're just not.
They're hard work.
They're not at the races. That's the problem, you know.
Dave, do you know Hans-Günter Kearns?
Pardon?
Do you know Hans-Günter Kearns?
Hans-Günter Kearns? No.
He's in the
I know the name, but I don't know.
Yeah.
He's in Emerson, is he?
He does a weekly gardening.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm still a member of the British Biodynamic Association, and purely for the information that they give out, I find that like the weekly thing on the gardening information, it can be interesting, and other times it's not interesting. But overall, it's worth my while to stay in it. I don't get any preps on them. I never got any value out of the preps on them. I thought they were shite. Until I started the French ones, it just blew me away. Those, but ours are improving dramatically. And another thing, it's important to know that you're not the only one making these. We need up and coming people who are prepared to make them as well. Like, God forbid if you get sick or something like that, on prep day.
I say known as a few years in Tilly.
I'm sure
we're doing all right.
That's like fucking, brain surgery or something. Jeez.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You have to plan for the future.
I don't know, Dave. I think for making the 501 and the 500 and 500p.
Yeah, there's nothing.
I think we're, I capable of doing it. I think.
Yeah.
I think the tricky ones are the ones that people have to, like nettle is relatively easy to make.
Oh yeah, no. I get all that, David. But when Noel says that we're running, we're the supplies are going rapidly. Well, then we have to be thinking like in the future of having either more supplies. Now I know you're talking about the potentialized preparations, and that will definitely be a game changer. But it's very hard to change people's minds. People get very stuck in their ways.
Well, the reality, Dave, is within the association up to relatively recently, the number of people who are actively putting out preps was no more than 20 at the most, actively, consistently putting them out.
That's a generous sort of a figure.
And that's a generous figure. So people changing their ways, Dave. And I'm not being contrary with you, right? But the reality is that Sweet FA had been happening until relatively recently. It's beginning to crank up a bit now. And this is the key. This is the key issue. Like, it's all about strategy and the long game. We're in this for the long game. Now is the time to bring the potentization idea in, because everybody, the majority of members in this association are neophytes, completely new, right? And they're not coming in with dogma and sticking to a particular very, very rigid approach towards BD. Most of them, are only beginning to understand, as all of us. It's a permanent learning curve we're on with this. So I think we're in a position as an association that we bring these two modalities forward together, and it puts an identity and a stamp on us as an association for Ireland, for Irish BD, that we're going to do whatever it takes to get these preparations out on as many acres as possible. And we're not going to be limited by not having horns, not having hooves, not having this, that, and the other. And
if you're a large farmer and you're using preparations, unless you're making your own horn manure, you very quickly realize the limitations of it.
Yeah.
So
there's a limit, like, to how much live preps
we can get out. But I think for the association, our spring and autumn prep days are anchors, because we can get more people in, we can have more bodies to turn around and put down more live preps, but still, like, that's only the foundation.
But we have 1,000 horns in the ground, and we still have about another 500 horns, new horns. Like, if we look after them horns really well, we should be able to use them for a good few years, more than 4 years. I think.
Yeah. Good idea. Okay.
So maybe we'll just move on. The website. So we had a Zoom last week with Andrea, and maybe Thomas, you probably better talk about this, but we're going to move to a paid hosting.
Yeah.
You talk about this. Know.
So Andrea did a great job. She turned around, and, like, I didn't pay much attention last year because I was under a lot of pressure, and she moved us in our hosting to a free pay site. The problem with the free pay site is that it didn't load FTP backup, which means that the website couldn't be backed up in the background, and it wouldn't allow WordPress work. So I was on to Suzanne, and she did a backup of the website. But the thing is, the foundation is we need to actually pay for our hosting of the website, because there's a lot of free services we can take up, but they don't actually provide the background stuff that allow us back up the website and allow for SSLC and our certification, so that we can run the shop. Well, what I'm suggesting is if we pay for the backup and for the basic hosting of the website, like a normal subscription, like you would if you're running any shop or anything else, then there's a foundation there we can work off, which means Andrea can just work on the adaptation of the website through WordPress. But we need a foundation in the background, which is basically around paying for our subscription. Sorry, I'm a bit...
Yeah, the idea is that we create like a 2-page website, so we have a members area, so that when members sign up, all their details are automatically uploaded onto this other members page, and members can access it and look at where other members are. They can't communicate, it's not like a forum, but they can see the details. And if we need to send an email to a group of a particular group, or all of them are ex-members or whatever, we can select it there, and it's just much easier than having to do it all manually, because it's just on a spreadsheet at the minute, and it's...
So after our conversation the last year, we're looking at two things, because we've shifted to a free subscription. We want to look back at a paid subscription for the hosting, but then also we're looking at pulling together a few alternatives around membership coordination. And there's a lot of software and a lot of people working on membership. Sorry, lads, I'm freaking. a lot of people work around membership subscriptions. So all the work is already done in the past. So there's 4 or 5 of them that would be a paid subscription, 50 to 100 euros a year. That will allow us to do all the things we need to do in the background of the website. So if you logged onto the website, you could turn around and, so most people log in, public view, but then it'll allow us have pages in the background, which is the map Noel is talking about, or a membership. But the idea is to integrate it all into the one space. So rather than us turning around and having like a PayPal subscription and a separate form that needs to be dealt with, and an Excel and a CSV file that we need to coordinate, that all of it happens directly on the website. And then these membership subscriptions will allow us to email all our members at the same time. So like say if we, at the moment we use MailChimp, if we use MailChimp, we are restricted to the amount of people that we can email. So as the subscription grows and the amount of emails that we sent out, then we're not able to deal with them as much. So there's stuff we can do that's focused specifically around the website that will allow us email our members and have several layers of subscriptions of the people we email. So that could be people that are a wide audience of people connected with the Biodynamic Association. It could be direct members that have paid up. It could be maybe it could be press or some other side group that we have that's based around sorry.
When do we, with this, all this, with the website and the stores and the preps and all that, is it, we discussed it about it before, but increasing the membership, because there's a lot more things happening now this year. Is that something that's going to stay on hold?
I think this year, maybe later in the year.
Yeah.
Once I think once the website is sorted and the membership is sorted and the shop is online, then we're in, you know, I'd kind of like to see all that done, and then we have good grounds for.
Well, it helps to pay for the website. It helps.
That too, yeah.
So at the moment, we're building the foundation and the structures in which that it's easier to deal with all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, is that fair enough?
So there's actually an invoice that needs to come from the association to Suzanne, and she's done a bit of work. I think it's about 10 hours in the background. It's 60 euros. She did 10 hours in the background to back up our existing website and to turn around and update our FTP and stuff associated with the website. Is that right?
We definitely need to get the second authorizer on this account sorted.
Yeah.
Well, I think that this could be paid directly from the PayPal to her.
Yeah, that we do have that option at the moment, that from our PayPal account we can pay others with a PayPal account.
So I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks we can get the foundation sorted around the back end of the website, so we don't have to worry about backups and emails and stuff like that to membership, and then that we can allow the likes of Andrea to turn around and experiment with developing the shop and the stuff that's on WordPress. So WordPress is like the software that people would build a website on, but in the background of that we have our hosting and our domain, and we need to make sure that our hosting and our domain are solid, and we can't get that from a free service. So when Andrea transferred us across, I didn't pay much attention. It was transferred across to a free service, but the problem is that free service came with none of the first services you need to ensure that your website is backed up in the background. So ultimately, even with that service, if you had to pay for it, it would be way more expensive than your standard Black Knight and stuff. So after our last meeting, we're going to pull together maybe 5 or 6 different hosting people we could deal with, and we're going to pull together 5 or 6 different applications that would deal with our membership. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have all that stuff sorted in the background around the actual background function of the website, and then we can look at adding the bits and pieces after that.
Just off the top of your head, I'm not looking for a specific figure, but where would you pitch once we get the website sorted, if you like, and all the functions that we need within and underneath the website? What sort of an annual cost would you pitch it at?
I'd be saying you're looking at 200 to 300 euros a year. Because like hosting your domain name is 40 to 50 euros. As in, like, so you buy your domain name, that's the name you put on your website, that's 40 to 50 euros. Then you need someone that's hosting. We have that, but I pay that every year. So I'm just saying, if you're asking what the overall yearly costs are, there's 40 euros towards your domain name. Then there's like at least 100 euros, 150 euros towards your physical hosting. And that is whoever server you are that hosts the website, and they provide that service to you. So that's your hosting and your domain name. And then you need to do backups. But the thing is, if we pay for a good hosting service, then we can go in the background and do the backups ourselves. The problem is, if we turn around and pay nothing for it, then we end up paying people to do the backups and the bits and pieces in the background. So what's important there is to ensure that tomorrow morning our email doesn't drop or our website doesn't drop. So we can have a free hosting, but if we don't have the backups in the background and there's some alteration made to the website as we're trying to upgrade the shop or put in a new blog, if we don't have a good service in the background, and the whole lot could drop and we could have no email in 2 to 3 weeks.
Could you turn off your video? Because we're losing you. Turn off your video.
Maybe turn off your video, Thomas.
I will,
You're dropping out.
Turn off your video. Your connection is very good. Have a go at saying what you said now again.
It'd be roughly 200 a year, like including the domain name and the hosting. Isn't that right, Thomas? Or
yeah, I think between 200 and 300 euros a year.
So 70 members would be 1,400 at 20 euro, but we're at least going to double that.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, double, not the members. I mean, double the fee.
The money. I think you're right, and I think we were wise not to double it when we were doing nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
But certainly, yeah, we're moving to a new game, and I think we also need to go through the BD Today listing, and people who are not members and that need to be asked to consider joining, because that is a BD WhatsApp,
Yeah,
it's just as we're getting all our ducks in order. We have base costs, and keep in mind that one of the reasons, like we had a couple of we'd memberships on the PayPal up to 5,000 and something, I think it was, that we'd no way of actually transferring it to an account because we hadn't got an online account, and that money came in all of a sudden, and like I'm owed just over 3,200 now. Michael's going to be owed money. There's about 7,000 in the account at the moment, and it's just that very quickly, because of the fact that we were accumulating this money over a number of years, not just a couple of 1 or 2 years, but I think 3 or 4 years, we're accumulating money from membership, and it was going nowhere. That's what's kept us in a positive balance now, even with the debts that are owed and the things that we've bought, the various bits and pieces. But we're very quickly going to move on to a plane now where it'll be down to the actual membership, or a component of that actual membership will have to be there to support the base costs. And all I'm thinking of it is from a treasurer's point of view, there's a lower limit we must never go on the account to ensure.
Yeah, well, I think when you do your new account system, it'll be much easier to see it, and then we can kind of do a projection as well with membership. Yeah. If we're going to increase it, like I think most of the members will still stay members even if we doubled it.
I hope they will.
I think so, yeah. I mean, people are still joining. Like someone joined last week. I don't know who they are. I didn't recognize the name. So, so as part of Andrea's kind of remit, once the website is sorted, we want to put a kind of polite letter together to send to ex-members or people who have lapsed payments, just asking them if, offering them to rejoin if they'd like, and maybe telling them a little bit about what we've been up to, and that can include the WhatsApp people who aren't members.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then we can remove them.
But I'm just back in again. Sorry about the internet dropping. My point is, we need to put aside €300 to €400 a year in order to keep our website up and running in the background.
And then 250 then for the bank account. And I'm just thinking, is there any other fixed payments we need? So you're talking basically, we'd want to have a reserve consistent
of £1,000 a year just to keep us tipping away.
Yeah. We'd have that. Yeah, we would want to have that.
Yeah.
And even at that, then there's no room for contingencies. But look, we'll play it as we go. As long as we meet our obligations as they come, hopefully, you know, down the line, if we sell a bit more preps and that, you know, the membership fee increases, we can have an extra couple of grand there for contingencies if needs be, you know.
Yeah, and if we are investing in the website and making sure the shop and the membership and everything in the background is working really easy to take the pressure off both people on the board and make it easier for members to sign up, I think that's going to be a revenue stream into the future. So at the moment, it might be a pain in the arse to deal with it, but I mean, it'll be a foundation that we won't think about in years to come. It'll just all be working.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be so worth it. So Dave, do you want to talk about the newsletter?
Yeah, I have a few questions here. First of all, on Michael's article on the hand stirrer, he mentioned something on the gearbox. The Australian model consists of a frame with and it's spelled UACHED gearbox. What word did he mean there?
What? Say that again.
The Australian model consists of a frame with a UACHED gearbox.
That must have been the engineer who told him what that box was, because all I know is that it's all I got from the Australians as far as the direction to look for gearboxes was the gearbox that drove the wheels of a small self-propelled lawnmower.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I know he's on holiday.
Huh?
I know
I wonder, should that be attached, Dave?
It could be attached, yeah.
It's a capital UACHED. I'd say it's a misspelling, and he meant to say a frame with an attached gearbox. That's because otherwise it doesn't make sense. There's another one though further on, LIULE.
That's little.
However, I did note that the base of the frame is already looking a little scuffled. Oh, it's little, yeah.
So the capital U must have got mixed up with two T's, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. The other thing was, on that article, when he wrote it and sent it to me, he said he wanted to proofread it and send it back again. Now, I read it and I had one comment on it. And I asked him to sort of, would he consider omitting any reference to the Australian model being inferior? Because he has a sentence in it, he says, so the very construction of this instrument is far superior to the model from Australia. And in brackets, he has don't tell them. And
no, we can't put that into the news.
No,
of course not. Jesus, we need a bit of social kind of moderation.
That's what I said. I said we can't burn our bridges like that, you know. But
no.
He never came
that's
back
not appropriate.
To me. So you happy enough that I edit that and take that piece out? I didn't want to do it without it. It's his article. I didn't want to, you know. So it just
you have to take it out.
It's not appropriate.
I think I do. Yeah.
You're the editor of the newsletter, so you know.
Oh well, then it's gone. It's gone.
Good stuff.
He was to send me a photo of the hand stirrer. So it'd be nice to have a photo with the thing, but if we do send a photograph of the hand stirrer, it's going to be the one that you got, Dave.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, that's the only photo we have at the moment.
Okay.
Most people would know, and that's fine. It's keep the conversation a visual impression of it.
Yeah, that's fine. I can say this is the Australian model, whatever underneath it.
It's a prototype.
Yeah,
prototype.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, can do. Okay. The other thing then is the online shop. So we don't have a date at this moment. So I'll just say it's we'll keep everybody updated.
Yeah, don't commit to anything.
Okay. The spring prep day details. I just put down the same time as last year, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Is that still okay?
Yeah, so I've confirmed the 27th with Kim. I just messaged him there now when he got back and he said that's fine. So that's good. It was the previous Saturday was a great day, and so yeah, I think that's okay. I think 11 is fine, so I think we'll do the same again. We'll dig up the horns the evening before, and
would we take advantage of that day if we're all there and have a meeting that day? Or is it too tight?
A lot of work on that day.
It's a bit much.
Okay.
It is. Yeah, to be honest, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we get to chat throughout the day a little bit, but I think trying to have a meeting on top of it is like I know coming from Kerry, by the time I've driven up and by the time we've had the prep day and then trying to squeeze in.
We've tried it before and it always ends up really rushed. You know, because it's kind of at the end, and it's just trying to squeeze it in. So,
but the thing is, maybe not a meeting, but maybe set aside a half hour before or afterwards. So if we're there at 10:30, then we're chatting about what's happening in the day or something, or like,
Okay, that's fine. So, Stuart, what county is your farm in? I have you down as Ireland.
I sent you an email. I'm in County. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Your email, so the address.
Okay, I get that right.
It's not. Just let me know.
I'll track you down anyway, Stuart.
Yeah.
I'd say it's not too hard to find.
So, David, your article, right now at the moment we're possibly up to 8 or 9 pages. So I know Noel has introduced a bit of change here, and in a paragraph he has another modality which our association has been working on, which has been working with, is the use of potentialized preparations. This is something which is gaining momentum in biodynamic circles around the world, and it goes on to say more about that. So he has introduced, I'm not sure if yours is going to be specifically on this, or were you going on to the feldspar?
It was and the clay, really.
Clay, okay.
Yeah, and
so it will fit in, there's no problem, but do we want to smother people, or are we happy enough?
Well, and it's not, I'm not looking for a cop-out, but the article I have would be equally as useful for the spring equinox, or the one before I presume there's a newsletter going out before the prep day.
It's going out.
No, I know this one is going out next week. 1st of February.
Early February,
No, I'm talking about the next newsletter will be out before the prep day.
No, the next newsletter won't be out till May.
May.
Okay. May, yeah.
Right.
So I can get it out. I can put it in. There's no problem.
I know you're thinking of it being jammed up with stuff. Yeah.
Are you worried about it being too big? It kind of puts pressure for future newsletters if it's very big.
Yeah.
Don't set too high a bar.
Like the article I have will fit in anywhere, really, in the sense that it's, it'll fit in for any particular time of the year.
Okay.
And if it's May, I run with May.
Would you prefer to have it in before the prep day, or?
No, not necessarily, because it's more information, if you like, and it's more like Noel's given him a taster there, and my view of how we keep people engaged is that they see progression, right?
Yes.
That the next article leads on from a previous article, that is progression, right? That they can see, right, and it allows people move with you, if you like, as to what we're doing.
So I tried to keep it kind of small because I know you didn't want it to be too big, and it's specifically about the use of the preps. Even though I introduced a small bit about what they're used for, but I didn't want to go into loads of detail about 500 and 501. Otherwise, it would be too long. And then I just wanted to throw in using other modalities, just to introduce the concept of potentized preparations as well. Without going into any detail.
And no, that allows then for us to progress with that.
Yeah, and that's why I put in the references as well, that if people want to have a look, that there is information out there on it.
Yeah. But for ourselves, for the next newsletter, then we move on with that a bit further.
Yeah.
More,
exactly.
and more detail. And I wanted to do, like, mine was basically sand, silt and clay, as it relates to Irish soils, and why the feldspar autoclays has a role to play, and the horn clays have a role to play over time. So that'll fit in as a next progression to what you've done there, because ultimately we'll move then towards, in the newsletter after that, when we have a bit of experimentation done, why we have 3 separate 501s now, and we'll have 4 if we have the 501G as well. And what are we actually trying to accomplish with this? You know?
Yeah, because I'd maybe like to follow on with the compost preps then, and the toolbox, the toolkit kind of
toolbox, because
concept.
ultimately that's what we're aiming to get, is the toolbox. And for the new member who's not going to stir, who may have, just the balk at the notion of what's involved in it, the toolbox only really comes into its own when the individual compost preps, either individually or in combination, can be used to enhance aspects of plant function. And that's where the game suddenly changes into something completely different.
And it ties in perfectly with the stirring frame.
Yeah.
People will see the value in the stirring frame when they realize that it's not just for 500 or 501, that they can do a short stir with individual compost preps on plants.
And I think as we develop the website and the resources page, where, like, as each of these articles are built up and an explanation of each of them is there as an individual article, if we're doing a newsletter, it only needs to be a reference to 501 or 502 or whatever it is, and a link to it. So in our newsletters, we don't necessarily need to have 3 pages explaining what's happening. We can have a hyperlink to 501 or 502 to bring people back to the website afterwards, so that they can get the information in the background for beginners and for people in a kind of a moderate level. So we don't have to explain everything every time in our newsletters, but once we have the resources there on the website, the people, we can refer them back to it.
Because I think what we're ultimately going to need to come to as a challenge for ourselves, as not just the board, but the active members right now, is how, to the broader membership, so that we can, I won't say inspire them, but encourage them to think within the context of how the 4 energetic activities work here in Ireland, and the weaknesses and the strengths of them, the lack of warmth at critical times, the low sugar levels in crops in the spring, and then the collapse of sugar levels in the autumn. These things we know, particularly through the DANU group, and we know from people in biological farm and using a refractometer and that. And over the next couple of years, right, that we have within the biodynamic toolkit the means to address these issues. And we're not talking about weather modification. We're not talking about, fucking losing the plot altogether. We're talking about focused effort to produce high quality food, crops and swards, and where the BD preps have a role to play in all of this. That's ultimately the goal,
Yeah, I think a biodynamic toolkit is a really good focus.
Yeah.
As in a toolbox.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Thomas, I think you've got to build into all these things like slowly. I think Noel's piece is perfect when he introduces the potentialized preparation. So the next issue can expand on that a little bit.
Yeah.
And then David's piece, he could easily take a half an hour on preparation day and just talk to people about the benefits of this, and what we found from last year's, from all of us who put them out last year. Like, the feedback was very good, but and then to tell people, to go into the detail on the soil makeup regarding the sand contribution that's making. So it's introducing things bit by bit and grabbing, getting their interest and getting, you know, and building on that. So yeah, we take them a bit at a time. There's no point trying to and bear in mind that I'm relatively new to this. So, you know, if you think that sort of, oh, for fuck's sake, does he know anything? You know, well, I don't mind just telling me that, you know, I have no problem. But I do think that at all the preparation days I've been at, I've been so surprised with some of the questions people have asked. They're so basic, so simple, and they don't know. You know, you'd imagine that they'd know, you know, they'd have some basis. Like, why did they join the Biodynamic Association? And I'm not trying to put anybody down like that, but I have been surprised by that. So hitting people with too much information.
But that's a great learning experience for us. So if we can recognize what those questions are and turn around and gather answers around those questions so people don't feel as stupid about asking them in the first place, or the information is presented to them through the website so they know a little bit more about it before they start. But the thing is, like, that's why I like the 2 prep days. The 2 prep days are a direct interaction with members. It brings up a whole load of questions. It gives us a whole load of feedback, and they're a very important focus for the association throughout the year, I think.
Yeah. So it leads me on to the last thing. And the last thing is, first of all, I have to apologize to you, Geraldine. Geraldine left me a message, and she had tons of information on it. And she said maybe I'd give her a call and we'd talk through all this stuff, and I never did.
Don't worry.
Basically, she made a couple of great points, and one of them was that with herself and myself being relatively new in the whole system, is that we don't know the makeup of our members. You know, I don't know who I'm talking to in the newsletter. Am I talking to gardeners? Am I talking to tillage farmers? Am I talking to dairy farmers? Who am I talking to? So I'm not going to waste the time here tonight now to go through all this, but it's something that I would like to know more about, and I think us as a board we should have a good picture of who we're actually dealing with. Geraldine mentioned seed suppliers. Should we inform people of seed suppliers? Horticultural tips for spring for each season. I'm not so sure about that. And then the other one was specific biodynamic articles for each season. And I was thinking about that, and I was sort of saying to myself, well, maybe should we do a specific article for the next season coming, so as that they're a step ahead, everybody is a step ahead. I'm only thinking out loud here.
Yeah.
And the last thing was, Geraldine talked to me about the light changes in the seasons. Seeing as we've gone to the Celtic calendar, I started to do a bit of research, and I got a bit whingy about it, because I saw there was a lot of religious sort of connotations and all that, and that's not my scene. And some people would be very strong on that, and I backed off. But Geraldine, if you want to do an article on the Celtic calendar, by all means do it, and we'll have a look and we'll see. And you know, I'm sure it'll be fantastic. But yeah, if you want to do something like that, fire away. And again, apologies for not getting back to you.
Okay, don't worry.
So other than that, I'm looking for one photograph. I know I need a photograph of the storer, and one other photograph, because I need to break it up. It's a bit all tied together with all just words.
Did you get the photo of the pit?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I have that in. Yeah, that's fine.
Do you want other photos of the prep days? Or have you something in mind for a photo? It doesn't have to be a prep day. Like, I have tons of photos.
I can send you a photograph of putting out of this year's application of the 500.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Trevor, you can do that.
Yeah, fine. Other than that, I was just thinking of a field or something where you can even in a photograph, and I generally don't see it in photographs. I can see the vibrancy of something. But no, that sounds good, Stuart. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, plenty of colour in it is good.
Yeah. So that's it. I'm done. I'm happy enough now to put the whole thing together now. And do I send it to you, Thomas, again, or do I send it to you, Geraldine? Who do I send it to?
No, if you want to, like, there is a few errors, spelling errors in the existing draft. If you want to hook up, we can chat, and you know, I can prompt changes.
Yeah, no, I saw there's lots of spelling changes. On Michael's computer, he ended up with 2 dots for T's, and he ended up
Yeah,
with
something like that.
T's,
Yeah.
things like that. I'll go through all that. Yeah, definitely, I'll go through all that, and then we can do a spell check after that or whatever, you know. So yeah, no, I'm happy enough with that. Okay.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd add there about understanding the actual membership, I know that an email comes into to PayPal at Biodynamic Association, and one comes into membership. The one that comes into membership has a form that people filled out that generally kind of ticks the boxes of the kind of areas that they're involved in their farming system. So we for our existing members, we definitely have that information. We just need to go and see what Excel spreadsheet it's on, and it might give a better overview of the kind of memberships that we're dealing with.
Okay, brilliant.
Maybe when we create the new members page, we can have a little more detail in the questions for people. But like, I know,
what's the level of experience between 1 and 5, say?
Yeah, like what experience of biodynamics have you? Because at the minute it's just farmer, gardener, consumer, But I know a fair few of the members, and I've interacted with a lot of them, and it's a very diverse group. Like there's a lot of people that aren't involved in gardening or farming, and there's gardeners and there's farmers, and you know it's very mixed.
Beekeepers.
And now there's a lot of, you know, in the last few years, obviously there's quite a few new commercial farmers. You know.
Well, mixed is good.
Oh, it's great, yeah. But it's only in the last few years there's quite a few more serious commercial farmers. Like in the past, there wasn't really.
I think we'll learn more with the biodynamic today. Questions, you know, when questions arise, you know, if people are having difficulties, they'll ask, where can I get, you know, something specific? Then we'll know what level people are at. Also.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell by people's questions whether you know where they're at. Yeah.
But what's important is we're like open to engaging with people, and that we turn around and see what the issues and the questions are, and then we try and have answers there in the background that we can
help them out. Yeah.
And then also as we go through those questions and we realize there might be more questions we need to be asking members, that we do build it into the system, that we have a basic information that we can engage with people with.
Yeah, well, the more people start to use preps, the more questions they have, because it's when you start to engage with something and use it, that's when the real questions come up. And they're actually practical questions related to what they're doing. It's like because they can't heat the water or whatever.
Yeah,
you know, they're running into issues that they didn't realize were there.
So those questions that come from a small group of people, if we can turn around and provide answers for those and have them on the website, that's an easy resource for people to access. That means the next 100 people who come and don't need to be asking directly what the questions are, because the foundation information is there.
Yeah, and I mean, there can be an area on the website with all the newsletters, like past newsletters, where people can access all the information.
But there's an information leaflet sent out when you do become a member, isn't there? I remember.
There was in the past, but that's something. So I've started writing a letter. I have it written, but for new members. So as part of when new members sign up, that their details are uploaded, they'll also get an email with a little information pack and welcome pack. Yeah.
And when the website is running properly and we have that membership subscription thing sorted properly and the integration into the website, then all those response emails will work an awful lot easier.
Yeah. It's it's a bit complicated at the minute. It's a bit of a nuisance.
But we'll get there before the end of January, maybe mid-February.
Stuart.
Yes.
Very quiet there. Wake up. Did you apply potentized preps as well as live preps this winter?
No.
Okay.
Not yet. There's still another application of live preps put out yet. There's still another.
Okay, yeah.
About 16 or 17 acres. My intention was to take a sample of when Trevor came in, to take a sample of the
dynamized.
Yes, and bring it in and potentize it.
Yeah.
And then put that back into the sprayer and apply it out.
Okay.
I would suggest if you're doing that, Stuart, when you're taking the dynamized sample, yeah, bring it, copy it into at a null potency at least, into at least 30% alcohol.
So don't potentize it then.
No, I said copy it as soon as this thing is stirred. Get a copy of it and at a null potency and douse out for the energy. I think you'll need decent energy for it, right? But make sure you make a copy of it into, don't go for a 10% alcohol because it'll last a while, but you want to be going at least 30-40% better alcohol.
Sorry, yes. Yeah.
Hold the pattern. And what you then have in that particular vial, right, is you now have an exact copy of the dynamized preparation as it would go out conventionally onto land. And maybe that is part of the key to the potentizing. Because remember when, you know, because that from that sample, then you can then potentize that on further, but you'll never be able to do it unless you take the null potency first.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have a stock. You'll have a stock of it then.
You have a stock of dynamized preparation, because I suspect part of the breakthrough we might be looking at, I could be wrong, but this is just purely intuitive, is that rather than taking the prep as it is coming out of the storage box or out of the glass jar on the window or out of the compost prep box, I think the preps are at their stage of activity. Certainly the field spray preps, the 500 and 501, when they're dynamized. Yeah. And it's the dynamized copy that could be the key to making more efficient potentized preps. I could be wrong, but every opportunity you get, and it's the same thing we're going to do with the stirring flames and when we come to the compost preps, because if Timmy is right, the amount of compost preps you need to actually stir seems to be high to me. People will balk about using them too often, right, for very specific circumstances. But if we can dynamize those or get the dynamized copies of those as well, by different individuals, I think this may bring us. I think I could be wrong, but
yeah,
they're just my thoughts on it.
I'd agree with that.
That's I'm waiting on Trevor to come back, so working around Trevor, so he doesn't come in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
I can get
that's everything. So unless
Dave,
anyone wants to add any more.
Yeah, I wanted to just mention to Dave. Dave, I'm going to send you on a photo of the stirring frame, okay?
Yeah, so.
And Stuart's going to send you a picture of Trevor spraying. That'd be nice to have in there.
I'll put you a few. They're not great. It's bad time. It's been over the Christmas and it was a bad. Looks a little bit.
Is he back before? If he's back before the end of the month, you'll get another one. You might have a chance to get a good one.
Yeah, it's a bit drier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, then I'll wait then.
I threw up a few pictures there of the prep day as well. That was shared on the BD today. So if you need a few more pics with people pulling the horns and all the rest of it.
Okay, yeah, come on, Thomas.
Yeah, the horn, the pit or the mound is. I was over there last week and yeah, great having the cover on it. It's nice and dry and clean and yeah, so it'll be interesting to see the horns that come out.
Onwards and upwards, says the man.
Yeah, when I saw your photograph, I put a cover over mine. Well, my pit, I had no cover up then and didn't realise and
Yeah.
considering all the rain we get, it should make a difference.
I was reminded, like, given this really nice, dry, cold spell we're having now, that the soil was dry for that. Do you know, if it had been saturated and get kind of frost, yeah, it's nice that it's dry, you know. It just felt better.
Right.
So, can I ask, going forward, are we looking at meeting once a month as a board?
I think we should. I think we should. Yeah.
I think we should too, at a minimum, like, to keep things moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree, because things are happening now, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unlike in the past, and it's strange, really, you know, if you think back a couple of years, we were very hopeful and aspirational about what we, you know, and a lot of discussion was about how to go about things. I just think it's wonderful that we're now in the middle of doing things, you know. The plan is coming together.
It's brilliant. There's a great momentum now.
Yeah.
And yeah, having these stern frames for Spring Prep Day.
Magic
for
man.
people, it'll be really great.
Yeah.
So a Wednesday night suits people.
Yeah.
So if we turn around and decide the first, second, or third week of every month that we meet up, and we can just build it into our calendars.
Yeah.
We don't have to decide tonight, but if we think about it over the next week or two,
as long as it doesn't become a complete fixture, you know, like.
No, it should be movable.
It is, yeah, but at least just a focus point.
Yeah,
that
but
we know we're meeting every month.
We try to get together every month. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, Grace Marr has come back, and she's definitely up for the stern frame.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I'm delighted with that now, because that means that we have. I'll just go to the list. We have Noel, Kim, Grace, Neil. Who else has got them that has a radionic instrument?
Nigel Gillis.
Nigel. Now that's a. I'm telling you now.
Patrick Colleen. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There'll be 6 people with hurricanes that have stern frame.
That's cool. That's cool.
No, it's dead cool. It's dead cool. Yeah, it's because that's where, if it was left to say, like, let's say we were stuck with just a quantum mag instrument, we'd actually, believe it or not, as one small weakness in it, it can't make a direct copy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, Geraldine and Dave, at some stage in the future, to keep you in the loop, I would just realize this. We may show you how these instruments work. Yeah, no, because I
will definitely show you.
Yeah, because I think like it really is a little unfair talking about them and you're not having a clue either end of what exactly it's all about. And they're very basic, really. The principle is very basic, but we'll dedicate a session before the year is out at board level. With the two of you included, just to show you how to, and you might even be tempted to consider ordering 1 or 2 from South Africa, because you won't get them cheaper anywhere else for the level of quality and the level of capability that they have.
Yeah, like Dave, that's really great, but my area at the moment is minuscule. So look, if anybody else needs a stir machine more urgent than me, like, feel free to.
Geraldine, yeah. Always look at the positive. The fact that your area is minuscule,
yeah,
you could, you know, and depending on the plants you have, I'm sure you have a bit of variety there, but you can do amazing things with the compost preps on just a couple of plants.
Oh yeah, like and you know,
and watch what happens where the plants that didn't get it, and like you know, it's entirely up to you, but you can do an awful lot in a small area.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm working in a conventional garden centre, and I'm using preps in the garden centre.
Right.
Very cool.
I'm using horsetail to prevent a fungal attack. And I'm using well, I used nettle too, you know, so like I used it all last year, you know, so yeah, I'm totally interested, but if there's anybody that needs it more urgent, you know, just let me know.
No, it's yours.
Oh no.
One of the great advantages of using potentized compost preparations on individual plants compared to live preps is that they don't radiate. So it's just on contact. So like you could use a little sprayer bottle on individual plants.
Okay.
As a comparison, you know.
Yeah.
To see the effects.
That is a distinguishing feature between the potentized preps and the live dynamized preps, is that they radiate. The potentized preps don't. Yeah, Noel's right.
Okay. No, but great to know more about it. Thank you very much, David.
No, I think it's important because you'll see why. I think there'll be greater clarity as to why are we going in this direction, because sometime in the past, myself and my sister, we invested a couple of grand on getting gear for Timmy for hand potentizing, and he just wasn't able to cope. What he was doing was great, but he just couldn't cope doing it by hand.
It was part of the evolution of understanding what we're capable of and the amount of ground we need to cover and stuff, and then like the solutions coming to us from a wider audience as well. So we had to start somewhere, and like without you having done that, man, we wouldn't be where we are.
No, and in saying that, like with a wider audience, we now have among the commercial farmers, and there's a couple of gardeners as well. There's a lot of people with a serious grounding in the principles of biological farm and plant nutrition coming into the BD group now. This group is very, very, very powerful and has the potential to really knock things about, I think, in the next 5 to 10 years. I have no doubt about it.
On that subject, what are we doing for the 100 years celebration of Steiner? Was that mentioned Dave, in your newsletter?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've mentioned the.
Did we decide anything, or?
3 farm walks, I think, was part of
the farm walks. Okay, grand.
We said we'd include it into the farm walks, that on each farm walk one of us would give a little talk about something related to the agriculture course, either a particular lecture or something related anyway, to market. And then there's going to be the Anthroposophical Society are going to do something in June as well, and we're gonna join that. Mandy McMahon,
we're bringing our prayer book.
Bring.
Don't forget the prep days. Now they're huge days for us. They're massive, and we have to capitalize on those days.
And the farm walks too.
We have to mingle among everybody and get talking to as many people as we possibly can, and just get as much feedback as we can, and generate as much interest as we can. And we're trying to do that through the newsletter to get the whole thing going. I'm trying to get as many people to come to this as possible. They're huge, and that's part of our celebration as well. That has to be mentioned.
Yeah, I'm moving down to Kilkenny next week or next month, and I'm leasing a bit of land and starting growing again, and so I might hold a cow pat pit day to make cow pat pit some weekend. So maybe in May, maybe see how it goes.
The barrel preparation.
Yeah, Maria Thun's barrel prep. Cow pat pit. Yeah.
Dave, could you check your WhatsApp? I've sent you the photo.
You know, David Wallace, that I never carried a phone around for the last 6 years, and now because I'm on these lovely groups, I find myself bringing it everywhere, and I hate the fucking thing.
Well, hate away, but open it up and have a look. Well, let's see what that photo do.
Okay, bud.
You have to embrace the current reality, man. You know, if we snooze, we lose. Communication is important.
He is on the ball, though,
Yeah.
Thomas. You must
Have
admit
it, David. Yeah.
Yeah, I should have cleaned the decking up before I took the photo, but that was in January last year, and I was doing the Three Kings that day.
Yeah. No, definitely I have it.
Right.
I sent the buckets down today. DPD collected them. Now, I had asked Michael, did he want me to open the box when I got it and have a look at them? And he didn't reply. So that box is totally sealed. I never opened it.
Yeah.
But they certainly don't look as, it was 14 kilograms for the 10 buckets was the weight of the box.
Right.
So they don't look as heavy as that particular bucket anyway. Well, they didn't feel as heavy.
That's not a heavy bucket.
Is it not?
No.
Okay.
No. Look, if this works out, the Irish stern frames are going to be way better than the Australian one. Now it's a lovely frame to use, but it's not very robust, you know. And like the one thing that really hit me in the hard, or like I was a bit taken aback by, that an Australian is paying €350 for that, and that's nearly 500 Australian dollars. And the Australians are, you know, like their cost of living is a good bit lower than ours, right?
No, their cost of living very high.
Huh?
Very high over there.
Yeah.
Very high.
Yeah.
It's higher than ours. It's not higher.
Much more than ours.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be less, but now it's not. It's changed over there.
Can't beat a colonial power, can you? It's all about extracting the wealth.
Well, when the Brits get the details, you know, they'll be able to make them cheaper.
Of course, yeah.
We can get them sent over to Northern Ireland and I'll pick them up.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they take up our offer and if they'll actually do something with it. But the trade-off is that we want to get something sorted with the gold. Now, I also have to mention this just in passing. I discussed this with Michael when I met him to give him the stern frame, and he said he can source gold leaf from London, right? And that's a great start, because if I get Timmy involved, we're on the way with triturating it. You know, there is no issue with that. The next thing then, just for you to think about, right, is Martin Lane thought it was a very exciting idea if we could make the Three Kings here. Yeah. Well, my view is that, trust me on this, I think we should dedicate that job to Martin.
Yeah. I wouldn't trust him though.
I know, but like
he's all over the shop.
Yeah. I heard him speak, and
just to get, I could give you a load of examples, but just to give you one, he emailed me late Saturday night in a panic saying he forgot to look at the calendar, and he sprayed the winter prep on the grey time, and he was awful upset. And what would he do? And would he send them more preps? He was a failure and all. Just.
Yeah, I think that's and certainly we've seen it even from Danu when it comes to spraying nutrient sprays in a biological farming context. And I've often made this point before. You need to be careful with the Maria Ton calendar. It can lead to serious bouts of depression if you're trying to follow it to the letter of the law, because our climate doesn't have many really great windows, you know, consistently. For doing stuff. And there is the situation whereby if you do put something out on a grey day or do a bit of tilling on a grey day, you can always compensate it for it on the next good pattern, you know. But it's worse not doing anything.
Yeah, it's a guide.
Yeah, like doing nothing, you know, because it's a grey day. And I followed that calendar when I had my shitty English preps. For the first 4 years I was at it, and absolutely nothing worked. And my partner answered to me, "What are you at this crack for?" She said, "Nothing worked." And I was telling Dave, when I bought the first set of French preps, that changed everything.
Same here.
Changed everything. Yeah. Right, folks. I need to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Good meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck, everyone.
Long.
Noel, by the way, that's Dr. Martin Lane.
Oh,
Yes, I know, and an anthroposophical doctor at that.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a funny one.
A very confused doctor.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody.
Is there?
Yeah.
Bye bye.
See you.